Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing the much requested review of the AZ-500 Microsoft Azure Security Engineering exam. So if you're looking to write this exam in the near future, then definitely stay tuned because I'm going to share some great insights on what you can do to pass the exam. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Venicia and I help women to succeed in cybersecurity. Alright, so before we get into this, for those of you who don't know my background, I have recently started working at Microsoft. I've been there for the past 7 months or so, and prior to working at Microsoft, although I have many years of security and cybersecurity experience, I had never touched the Microsoft technology platform before, and I've never worked on Azure before. So this has been greenfields for me. It's been brand new beginnings, and I've been doing a bunch of certifications in the last 7 months in order to ramp myself up to be able to work like a pro on Azure. So if you like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Alright, so let's start straight off with the exam details. This exam covers basically 4 modules or 4 domains, however you want to call it. And the first one is managed identity and access, and this is a big domain. It's about 30 to 35% of the exam. The next one would be implementing platform protection. That is about 15 to 20% of the exam. Managing security operations, that's about 20 to 25% of the exam, and then securing data and applications, which is about 20 to 25% of the exam as well. So this exam is a more intermediate kind of exam, so it is a lot more involved technically than what you would find in the fundamentals exams, and it really does require you to have hands-on practice and experience on the platform. Typically, the exam is for professionals who have been working on the Azure platform for about a year to 2 years. So if you haven't worked on the Azure platform and you don't have much experience on the platform, then writing this exam is going to be particularly more challenging for you specifically, and you might want to focus on doing a lot of the labs that come with some of the training options that I'm going to mention here. So some of the training that I used to prepare for the exam is firstly the Microsoft learning path for the AZ-500. Now this learning path is freely available to anyone on the internet, and you can go into Microsoft Learn. You don't even have to create an account, you can just go through the learning path. But if you create an account, you'll be able to track your progress and obviously continue and earn some badges, etc. in the learning path. The learning path is free. Booking the exam is not free. So just to be clear on that, you'd have to pay for the exam, but the learning path is free. And in there you'll find a lot of content, and what's nice about that is that there are also labs for you that's available in there that you can do. You can create a Microsoft sandbox, which is free, and you can then practice building out all these different components and adding the security controls to these components in the lab. The second source I used is the LinkedIn Learning course by Pete Zegger. He's also got a YouTube channel. I'll link it down below. And the LinkedIn Learning course basically was a great summary of all the content that was documented on the MS learning path, and he summarized it really well. And he's also got great labs and hands-on practice scenarios that you can explore. The third one, and I think probably the most instrumental in me actually passing the exam, has been doing the Azure Masterclass by John Saville. John Saville is, he works at Microsoft. He's a principal architect at Microsoft, but he has a YouTube channel where he teaches people all about Azure, so do feel free to go and check out his channel. I learned a ton from starting at Microsoft to where I am now a couple of months down the line from John's YouTube channel. And before I took the AZ-500 exam, I did the Azure Masterclass. It's about 19 hours of content. It is in depth. It is all the details that you need to know what everything does on Azure, and it really helps a ton with framing your mind around the security components that's required in order for you to implement the different components and controls on Azure. So those are the main resources that I used to study for the exam. Now, I also used the Measure Up website. The Measure Up is a site where you can find practice exams, and I highly suggest and recommend, especially if you are not used to writing online exams, you can find a whole bunch of exams on there. These are not actual exams, but it allows you to get into the frame of mind of how the questions are being asked in the actual exam, so that you can firstly measure your knowledge of what you've learned already, and secondly, you know how you're doing in terms of what percentage are you scoring on the practice exams and whether you are ready for the real world exam. So Measure Up is a great resource to go and do the practice exams, do the mock exams, and see how you're doing in your study process. And then I think one of the final things I'd like to emphasize on is the fact that you really need to focus on practicing, and actually when the professionals are going through the theoretical content, actually check on the portal where those things are in the portal. Check how to configure those things in the portal. Read up on what the best practices are for those controls that you are learning about, because that's going to help you significantly with how the questions are being asked in the exam. Now, as for the exam itself, the exam had a bunch of scenario-based questions in, and then a bunch of questions and answers. It did cover, asking questions around how things would be configured in a JSON template, how things would be configured from a KQL query perspective, from a PowerShell perspective. The exam scenarios are quite in-depth, so listing that there's different organizations that may need different network configurations, and where would you do what, which controls would you implement, what would you do about configuring this VNet in that region and it must access that key vault, etc. So there are scenarios, and the questions does require you to know how to do things, to know how to apply your knowledge, as opposed to knowing what it is. So I think the final thing is that the exam is just over 2 hours long. I spent about an hour and a half writing this exam and going through everything. And yeah, I think that's about it. So if you are looking to take this exam in the near future, I'd like to hear from you. Let me know down below in the comments if you have any other questions. And good luck to everyone who's exploring an Azure certification journey now or in the next year. If you like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and catch you next time.